It is at this time that the land is reasserted. The southern border will include the Sea Araba, cross south of Scorpion Pass, south of Kadesh, Hazar, Edar, Asmon, near Jabal, Al-Hafla, Wadi of Egypt, and up to the Great Sea. The west border includes the coastline from where the Wadi of Egypt empties into the Great Sea and it ends near Mount Hor. The northern border will commence at Mount Hor, north of Mount Carmel, along the entrance of Hamat, include Zadah, Ziphron, and ending at Hazar. The eastern border will run from Hazar down to Shumfa, Riblah on the east side of Ain, Lake Kinneret, down the Yarden River to the Sea Araba. Caleb takes a hill near Hebron as his inheritance, as was promised by Moshe. As for Yehuda, the border starts at the mouth of Yarden and goes to Beit Hagla. Turning north, it passes by Beit Haraba and the stone of Bohan, the son of Reuben. Turning up to Dibber from the Acher Valley, the Gilgal west of the Acher Valley, and passes through Ian Shemesh Spring and ends at Ian Rogel toward Ben Hinnom Valley, or the son of Hinnom Valley. Along the contour of the division between the valley of the son of Hinnom and the Rephaim Valley, from here it extends to the source of the Nephthah Spring, the cities of Mount Ephron, Kiryat Yarim, Baal, Mount Seir, Mount Yarim. Beit Shasim passes by Timnah and northward of Ekron. Finally, it goes to Shirkron, passes Mount Ba'ala, turns at Yabnel, and ends at the coast of the Great Sea. As for the Yehudi, the southern border is from the southern bay of the Dead Sea, passes south of the Scorpion Ascent, passes toward Zin, goes south toward Kadesh, passes by Hezron, towards Adar, Gekhar, Asmon, and extends to the Wadi of Egypt. Within this area lie 106 Yehudi cities. The only area not conquered is the area of Yebusi, or in English, Jebus. For Yosef, the border starts at the Yarden and runs along the spring of Jericho. From here, it traverses the hills and desert toward Bet-El or Bethel, at which point it heads to Luz toward the territory of the Achrai and on to Atarot before turning to the territory of the Yafleti. Upon reaching this point, it heads to the lower Beit Horon, Gezer, and ends at the Great Sea. For western Manasseh, the northern border runs from Asher to Mechatah east of Shechem. At this point, it turns southward and incorporates the territory of Yin Tupach. The city of Tupach itself is an Ephraimite enclave in the tribal lot of Manasseh. The border goes from Ephraim's lot until it reaches the Wadi Khan, at which point it follows the contour of the northern bank. It extends from here to the coast of the Great Sea. In regard to the 5 daughters of one man, they who had no sons, they are given land amid their relatives. For Ephraim, the northern border follows the southern bank of Wadi Canaan and the southern border of western Manasseh. Their western border follows Dan's eastern border. As the border turns south, it follows the boundary of Benjamin at Ephra Ader. The eastern border goes to upper Beit Horon. From here, the southern border runs from Mikmalat and extends to Yarden through Jericho's land. For Benjamin, their northern border begins at the Yarden, goes along the southern border of Ephraim until reaching the Beit Aben desert. From here, it goes to the south side of Beit El and down to Atara Ader. The western border traverses the contour of the land from Beit Horon to the Yehudi city of Kiryat Yearim. From this point, the southern border follows the northern border of Yehuda. Within this area lie 26 cities. For Shimon, or Simon, their lot contains the cities of Beer-sheba, Sheba, Modola, Hazar Shaul, Bala, Yisim, El-Tolad, Butal, Horma, Zikla, Beed, Markal, Hasra, Susa, Beed, Lamvolot, and Shashchem, Yelhin, Riman, Iter, and Asha, and up to Berta Bir. For Zebulun, their border begins at Sarid and heads westward to Maral, extending to Debechet and the Wadi fronting Yom Kinnam. Heading east, it runs along the border of Kislat Tevor up to Debra and Yafa. From here, it passes to Gat Hefer and Id Kazin, extending to Ramon and Necha. Turning north at Eton, it extends to the Yeveshul Valley. In this area lie 12 cities. For Yiskar, it extends from the Yarden to Tiber, Shatzim, Zimah, and Beit Sheshmesh. It includes Yisrael, Kesulot, Sunem, Hafergim, Sunon, Anachrat, Yudbit, Kishon, Ebzel, Remet, Ian Ganim, Ian Hadad, and Beit Pazerset. In this area lie 16 cities. For Asher, the border extends from the Carmel Range and Shekal Labnat. From Beit Dakon, it runs to the Zebulun border in Yeptakel Valley. It travels along Beit Yemek and Nilo Kabul, Ibrahim, Rekob, Haman, Kayan, and on to the greater Zidon before turning toward Ramah and Zor. From this point, it turns to Hafsah and extends to the coast of the Great Sea, Hibble to Akziv. This area possesses 20 cities. For Dan, the border extends from the Yarden Spring and Rakan to the coast of the Great Sea at Yaffo. It includes 15 cities. They being the smallest, decide to capture Lishem and Naphtali as their possession as well. They rename it Dan. For Naphtali, the border goes from Hilith to Yarden, traveling along Adami Nekheb and Yaniv and Lakum. The border goes along Azilda Tabor, passing along Huk to Zublan on the south, Asher on the west, and Yehuda at the Yarden on the east. At the border between Naphtali, Yisachar, and Zublan stands Mount Tabor, which in years to come will be very pivotal.